From the Arizona Daily Star and Tucson.com, this is the Wildcast.
Well, welcome to the Wildcast podcast. I am not Justin Spears. Justin Spears is, what's a nice way to say this, on assignment today. I am Star Sports editor Ryan Finley, here with beat reporter Michael Lev. Michael, Justin is not here, but we will soldier on today talking football, starting with Saturday's big showdown at Arizona Stadium, 4 p.m. Arizona versus number 10 USC. Lev, you have some experience with both of these programs. Before coming here, you covered SC for the Orange County Register. My guess is you still keep an eye on them. Give me kind of a state of USC football in 2022. Sir, what's going on there?
Yeah, like if you think things have changed at Arizona over the last 18, 20 months, they have changed even more so at USC in an even shorter span of time. New coach, new quarterback, and they went nuts in the portal. I mean, they just brought in all kinds of guys, names that you're familiar with. If you're a Pac-12 fan, like Travis Dye, like Eric Gentry, the linebacker from Arizona State, Mekhi Blackman, a really good cornerback from Colorado. If anyone's wondering why Colorado's not very good, it's because Mekhi Blackman plays for them, and Christian Gonzalez plays for Oregon, and Brendan Rice plays for USC, et cetera, et cetera. And they've just hit the ground running. Right. I mean, we all thought when Lincoln Riley was hired that it was a home run, maybe even a grand slam. And so far, so good. Their offense is tremendous. Their defense is super opportunistic. And I would say they're the best bet in the Pac-12 to make the playoff because of their schedule.
Right.
I don't really think they don't have a game that they shouldn't win, or a game that would be a toss-up probably until UCLA.
Sure. Is there a path to victory here if you're Arizona? I mean, you look at the line, 15.5 points. That's a ton of points. If you're Arizona, how can you possibly pull off the impossible here on Saturday?
Well, you have to score. Mm-hmm. Okay. You're not going to win this game 20-17. I mean, do you have a lot of faith in the Arizona defense right now?
No.
Ryan, no, you don't. No. I don't know why anyone would, based on what we've seen. So,
I mean, Cal and Colorado were able to move the ball against Arizona.
Yeah.
And now Caleb Williams comes to town. Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. And they've given up 49 points exactly in 3 of their last 4 games. So, it's going to have to, your offense is going to have to be super productive, pitch somewhere between a no-hitter and a perfect game. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to have to hope that the turnover luck turns around. I mean, USC is plus 15, best in the nation. They've only had 1 turnover the entire season.
Wow.
1 interception. So, and they've also taken the ball away a crazy amount. And is that just because they're really good at both of those things, or have they benefited from some good fortune, balls tipped in the air that have happened to have landed in their defenders' laps, et cetera? So I think you need that. And then another thing that I discovered doing some research last night is, USC's got some injuries. Jordan Addison might not play.
Oh, wow.
In this game. 3 of their top linebackers are quote-unquote day-to-day. And out of the top 4, including Shane Lee, including Eric Gentry, who I mentioned earlier. Those are their starters. And one other thing I'll throw out there. Jed Fish with more time to prepare, okay? Now, we don't have a huge sample on this, but let's go back to the BYU opener in 2021. Close game, right?
Well.
Beat the spread.
Played well, beat the spread.
Okay. UCLA game off the bye last year. If you remember that game, they were right there. It was an 8-point game with the ball in UCLA territory in the 4th quarter. Jordan McLeod injured, fumbles on the same play in which he broke his leg. Game turns around. But they were right there in a game in which they were underdogs. And then the opener this year against your San Diego State Aztecs. Yeah, they were underdogs in that game against a team that's obviously not very good now, but coming off a 12-win season on the road, etc.
Right. We did not know then that San Diego State was terrible. Yeah, that they have a safety playing quarterback and that Braxton Burmeister's now a wide receiver. But that's okay. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so I think all those factors conceivably, plus it's at home. It's homecoming. I think it's going to be a really good crowd, really good atmosphere, energy in the building. All those things.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some sort of semblance of hope, I think those are the factors.
Can I offer a completely unscientific, not fact-based opinion on this? Arizona is still at the stage in their program where they can sneak up on people, where it's entirely possible that USC is looking beyond them. And you looked earlier this year, one of the games, I think I've seen USC play a little bit almost every week, but I watched almost the entirety of the USC-ASU game, a month ago? And ASU was right there with them. Right? ASU came in, I think it was right after Herm got fired, came in with Sean Aguano, and they were right there, for the first half plus. To me, I think that there is a possibility that Arizona could catch USC sleeping just a little bit.
You have to hope for that.
Right.
You have to hope that they're not going to be at their best or they're not giving this game their full attention. Now, I would say the factor that kind of goes against that is they lost their last game.
Sure.
Against Utah. And it was a heartbreaking defeat, 43-42. But I still think that they're in good shape. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, as far as the Pac-12 race, getting to the championship game, these are the next three games. At Arizona, home Cal, home Colorado.
They should be just
gifts from the scheduling gods. Right. At UCLA, that's the big one on November 19th, and then home versus Notre Dame, which is down this year too. They should win. They should win at least 4 of those games. If they can sweep those games, they'll be in the championship game, and they will, because they're a brand, they're exciting. They will curry a lot of favor with the committee, even though the committee's not supposed to take those things into consideration.
But it's a TV show, man. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It is a TV show.
Yeah. Also, Oregon, having lost 49-3 to Georgia, is there going to be a lot of are people going to want to see a Georgia-Oregon rematch in the college football playoff, even if Oregon deserves it? Let's say somehow it works out where they end up with the same. They both have one loss. Let's say somehow. I don't even know if it's mathematically possible. Them and USC, but it's who are you going to take in that situation?
Well, I think you take the winner of the Pac-12 championship game, right? To me, that's the answer.
Like I said, I think the math probably works out where they would end up playing each other, and then one of them would end up with 2 losses.
Right.
But in that sort of weird hypothetical scenario, I don't know. And you're right though. If there's any game out of the next 3 where USC conceivably could get tripped up, Arizona is the one. It's on the road. I would say that if you power ranking those teams, you'd have to put Cal ahead of Arizona because they beat them head-to-head. But Arizona at least consistently has shown that they can score. And I don't think this is a great USC defense. Maybe they're vulnerable in that area. I don't know. The one thing I keep coming back to is, can they stop them?
Right.
Is it conceivable that USC will score every time they have the ball?
Well, yeah.
I'd say, yeah, it is.
And again, this is not to pile on, but, Arizona couldn't really stop the Cal Golden Bears. Colorado comes to town. It's the worst team I've seen in this league in a decade. And Cal scored, moved the chains, scored some. I'm sorry, Colorado moved the chains, scored some points. That to me is the big issue. Hey, you want to feel sad for a minute, Michael?
Sure. Yeah.
After Saturday, when is the next time USC is going to come to Arizona Stadium? Producer Eddie is shaking his head slowly, as if to say, never, ever, ever.
I'd like to send them away with just a spanking, but this isn't basketball, and this is reality. So I doubt that's the case.
To me, that's something, and that was brought up to me by Justin Spears earlier this week. Man, I hadn't thought of it that way. Arizona's going to go there next year, and then that's it. And for me, that's a sad chapter because USC, for a kid from Southern California who at least didn't grow up liking USC, but grew up watching USC. They're the standard by which everybody in the Pac-12 is judged. And what happens when they go away? It's going to be strange.
It's going to be really strange when Arizona goes to the Rose Bowl in a couple weeks to play UCLA. I mean, is that the last time that Arizona's ever going to play in the Rose Bowl?
Producer Eddie's eyes just got real big when you said when Arizona goes to the Rose Bowl. We were all like, when's that going to be? Anyway, the Rose Bowl Stadium, yes.
Yes,
to play
the Rose
UCLA
Bowl Stadium. Yes.
Yes.
I'm being technical here. They obviously have never played in the Rose Bowl game, and those opportunities also are seemingly drying up.
Right.
We don't know what the future landscape holds as far as bowl berths and conference affiliations and all that jazz. But yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. That one, like Jed was asked about, USC coming here for the last time. He doesn't care about that.
Right.
But him going to the Rose Bowl, I mean, he's obviously got some ties to UCLA, and that is a historic venue. So it's going to be weird when it becomes the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 with San Diego State and UNLV or whatever teams they end up adding. I do think, if I were a betting man right now, I do think the league's going to stay together.
Right. Me too.
Because I just don't see an opportunity for Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, whoever to leave and go somewhere else in the short term.
Sure.
Maybe 7 years from now or whenever the next contract cycle comes up, something will change. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on that one.
You want me to blow your mind?
Yeah.
After 2023, the next time Arizona could play USC? In the Rose Bowl.
Oh. Oh, I see where you're...
USC
I
is
see where you're
would be a
going
member
here.
of the Big Ten. USC could win
Oh
the Big
my
Ten.
God, that just feels wrong. Does
I
that
know.
not feel wrong?
Yes.
That's like Keith Jackson is rolling over in his grave right now, hearing this ridiculous concept that you've.
The idea of USC representing the Midwest in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's the whole point of the Rose Bowl. I'm gonna go off
Nick,
here.
go on the tangent,
A
please.
quick tangent.
Please.
The whole point of the Rose Bowl is Midwestern teams coming west, warm weather, the Arroyo Seco, all that, Michael Lev. What happens if it's just USC? If the Big Ten's representative in the Rose Bowl is the team that plays just up the road, or worse, UCLA, the team that plays all of its home games there?
Won't, with the 12-team playoff coming in, won't these Rose Bowls and everything kind of go by the wayside as far as conference affiliations?
You might be
most
right.
years?
Yeah, it's
I hope not, but you might be right.
it's still being sorted out, like how they're going to do the quarterfinals and the semifinals. But more likely than not, the Rose Bowl will be in that rotation heavily, maybe even permanently. And we might lose the coolest aspect of it, which
Right.
was always like West Coast team versus Midwest team. And it's beautiful sunny day on January 1st where it's freezing cold in most of the country. And it's just this beautiful setting in Southern California. And it's so cool to have that contrast, right? I mean, I know things have changed in college football, and most schools play the spread now and that. But if you had like Illinois this year, like they're best defense in the country, run the ball, physical type team. If they were to face Oregon or Washington, I mean, that's just it's a contrast of regions, it's a contrast of styles, and that's really what made that game so cool.
I have been to one Rose Bowl in my life as a fan, Michael Lev. And
Okay.
it was Michigan-USC, the year USC won to get the split national championship with LSU. And you want to talk about two programs and two fan bases that at least that year could not have been more different. It was Matt Leinart in USC versus Lloyd Carr in Michigan, which was just ground and pound versus every fun offensive trick you could come up with. And that's what we're going to lose. I mean, as these conferences blur, and I'm sure this is just the beginning, we're going to lose some of that style versus style stuff. And that's really disappointing. Anyway, I've bummed us all out, and so I'm sorry about that. Michael, should we get to the picks?
Yeah, we have a Thursday game. We're recording this on a Thursday
Thursday.
morning, and we have Thursday night football between Utah and Washington State. We'll lead off with that. Our records heading into this thing, let's see. Ryan, you were 4-0 straight up last week and 2-2 against the spread, which is the best anybody did. That brings your season record to 28-14, 22-20 against the spread. You were in first place. I was also 4-0, 2-2, and I will take that considering how bad I've been. I am 31-11 straight up, 17-25 against the spread. Justin's slide continues. He was also 4-0 straight up, but only 1-3 against the spread. He's now under 500.
Wow.
20-22. He's also 31-11 straight up. He has sent his picks in, and we'll give his third after we talk about each game. So Utah at Washington State in the Palouse, Thursday night football. Utes are favored by a touchdown in this game, by 7. Who you got?
If I wanted to get cute, I would say I think it's exactly a 1-touchdown game. To me, you go into a cold-weathered town on Thursday night. This strikes me as a Pac-12 after dark situation. Then again, Utah's Utah again. I mean, we saw what they did against USC a week ago. If you put a gun to my head and make me pick a winner here, I'm going to say Utah covers the 7. But my guess is it's going to be right at that number.
Yeah, I'm going to take Utah to win and cover in this one. Don't love taking a road dog in a weeknight,
short week,
primetime type of game.
Yep.
That is worrisome. The letdown factor, but I have a lot of trust in Kyle Whittingham's coaching ability. I think he can kind of help them overcome that. And the other thing is, Utah's struggles this year have been on defense, which you don't really expect to be the case. They haven't been great on that side of the ball. But Washington State has one of the worst offenses in the league. They can't really run the ball very well. I'd say Cam Ward has been maybe a slight disappointment.
Yeah, just okay. He's been just okay.
I mean, they're having a pretty good season overall. But I think stylistically that this shouldn't be a huge issue for Utah. This is the type of game they like to play, so I'm going to take the Utes in that one. And our man Justin, he also takes Utah to win and cover. All right. So our next game on the docket, we've got Oregon going to Cal. This is a 12:30 game. Oregon coming off that huge win over UCLA. They are favored in Berkeley by 17 points. What do you think?
I like Oregon, and I think I like Oregon every week from now until the end of the season. Look, this Cal was able to gash Arizona, yes. Cal was able to do some things offensively, but Oregon is just so talented. I mean, I see them overwhelming them. This could be 41-6, so I'll take the Ducks.
It could, yeah. I'd say every aspect of this game on paper favors the Ducks.
Yes.
Right? I mean, they are the better team, the more consistent team, better offensive team. They're playing great. I feel like they're due for maybe a sloppy game.
Yeah,
we've seen, remember that game last year at Stanford that they somehow lost in overtime, which kind of derailed the momentum of their season. I could see something somewhat similar evolving here. I think 17 is a little bit too much, so I'm going to take Oregon to win and Cal to cover, and that is also what Justin's pick is. He's got the Ducks to win and the Bears to cover. All right, we're going to skip over USC Arizona for now and move ahead to ASU at Colorado. That's a 4:30 p.m. game. The spread we're going with on that one is Sun Devils by 13 at Boulder. Ryan, you're already shaking your head a little bit. What do you think about that one?
Give me the Buffs to win and cover.
Oh, hello.
Hey, I got to make my move here.
Hello.
I have to make my move here. And not because, look, these are two programs that are in very similar situations, right? Interim head coaches on both sides. Talent isn't where it should be on either side. ASU has much better players, I think, than Colorado does. But, I saw something in Colorado a couple of weeks ago. It seemed like there was finally a little bit of a spark there. They were able to get a little bit of momentum going. Call it a hunch here, but I will take the Buffaloes with the upset special.
Strange things happen at altitude.
And what's the weather going to be like? Is it going to be beautiful? Might be, but you never know. Altitude, a little bit of cold.
I like where you're going with this one for sure. I could definitely see this being an ugly game, kind of similar to the game that ASU played last week against Stanford, which the final score was, 15-14. A lot of field goals, a lot of turnovers. Both teams are having quarterback uncertainty right now. Colorado keeps shuffling guys. I think Sean Aguano came out this week and pretty much said the job is open,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know who their quarterback's going to be, and we know from firsthand experience here in Tucson how problematic that can be. So I'm with you. I think kind of both teams are a mess, and in that case, I will take those points. I think ASU squeaks it out with late field goal, wins something like 20-17. So I will take the Sun Devils to win, and the Buffs to cover. Justin is going the other way. He's got ASU to win and cover the 13 points.
Okay.
All right, our last game before we get to our game, that's Stanford at UCLA. That's the Pac-12 After Dark kickoff, and UCLA is favored at home by 16.5 over the Cardinal.
I keep waiting for UCLA to have a clunker of a game. I keep waiting for the wheels to fall off, and it seems to me as if maybe that happened in their first 2 games of the season, right? They really struggled against directional state.
Do you consider the Oregon game to be a game in which their wheels fell off?
Yeah.
I don't. I just feel like Oregon's really good, and they're really hard to beat at their stadium.
Yeah, I agree. And so, I'm still waiting because in my head, I don't know. I'm not sure I think UCLA is great, but I've watched enough Stanford this year to know that Stanford can't move the ball, that Stanford is kind of a mess. David Shaw is a frequent topic of conversation on this podcast, but it seems like something has turned south there. So give me the Bruins with the points.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same way. I thought at one point in time, I'll take Stanford, I'll take those points, but I don't want to be sitting there at 9:30 on Saturday looking up at the scoreboard and it's like UCLA 35, Stanford 6. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think UCLA is going to be kind of angry that they lost this last week. It seems like Dorian Thompson-Robinson has done a really good job of using those sort of external motivational factors to fire up his team and to get that offense to play really well. They can play bully ball, kind of like Stanford used to. So I'm going to take the Bruins to win and cover the 16.5. Justin is also taking UCLA to win and cover.
Can I give you a quick aside here?
Mm-hmm.
I miss the days when Stanford played bully ball and when Stanford was relevant in the conference.
Stanford needs a fullback. It's
Stanford
not
needs a fullback.
if they don't.
Where's Owen Marisic when you need him, Michael Lev? Where's Toby Gerhardt?
It was kind of cool, and I think it was good for the league.
Tyler Gaffney's not walking through that
when
door.
we had that going.
I know.
They seem to be, I don't know. I think the portal has really hurt Stanford
because they can't add anybody.
They can't get anybody in there. So they're going to either have to change the way they operate or they're just going to have to concede that they're going to kind of just be in a different realm from everybody else when it comes to how they build their program, player acquisition, et cetera.
Can we just name old Stanford guys for a minute? Levine Toilolo, Jim Dre. They had a linebacker who was great. Shane Scove. Remember him? Nothing?
Sure.
Yeah, he could play.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
These are all Harbaugh era guys,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Disappointing. Well,
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey. How about that? Anyway.
Back in the Bay. Okay. The spread that we have on our game featuring USC and Arizona is officially, according to DraftKings, which is what Justin uses for these, 15 points. So you don't get that extra half point. We got 15. I've seen it 15.5 some places. The over-under is really high, Ryan.
70 what?
It's like 76.5.
76.5. I was going to say, if we were in a place, if I was betting this game, I'd stay away from the spread altogether and just bet the over. I think Arizona can score 30. I think it's entirely possible that Arizona could score 30 points and lose by 25 points. I mean, that's how good USC's offense is here. And to me, again, this is a lot like the Oregon game here a couple of weeks ago. I think the default has to be the belief that Arizona can't stop them. I'm not sure Arizona has proven since really the North Dakota State game. I'm not sure Arizona has kind of bowed its back and played good defense.
They didn't really play good defense in that game until the last 5 minutes.
They made one great stop at the end. But even then, North Dakota State was driving and scoring frequently. You know what? To me, my default setting is take the better offensive team to cover even a massive spread. And so I'm going to have to take USC here with the points.
Yeah, I am going to take USC to win, but I'm going to take Arizona to beat the spread, citing the factors that I mentioned earlier. I like Jed coming off a bye or off an extended layoff where he's got extra time to prepare. USC has some key injuries to their linebacking core and might not have their best wide receiver, Jordan Addison. I know they have a lot of other really good receivers, but he's the reigning Biletnikoff Award winner. And the crowd's going to be really fired up. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, all of those things. I share your lack of faith in the defense's ability to stop them enough for Arizona to actually win the game. But I do think they can beat the spread. I'm going slightly under. Oh, my God. Looking at my score here. I have USC 41, Arizona 35. So if it was 76.5 and it ended up at 76 and you bet the over and that was the final score, you'd be really disappointed. I think that would qualify as a bad beat, to be sure. That Oregon game was very similar. I think they was stuck on 71 for like the last 9 minutes of the game or something like that. Justin, he is going with you. He's got USC to win and cover, so I'm the lone wolf taking the Wildcats with the points.
Michael, you travel to every Pac-12 precinct here, and
sure,
you're around. Are you a marching band guy at all?
In what sense?
Do you like them?
Sure, absolutely. I would much prefer the marching bands provide like 90% of the music during a college football game. Instead of what we have now, which is just like loud music blaring during every single stoppage. And it's kind of obnoxious, honestly.
Yeah, this is typically a game when USC brings their band.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was a real treat because you got to see this nationally acclaimed band. There are Arizona fans who do not like that at all. We think it's some sort of an affront. I mean, when Greg Byrne was here, Greg Byrne moved the USC band to literally like the last 4 rows of the upper deck so nobody could hear him, if you remember that.
So if I can offer mine, I actually was just in Greg Byrne country this last weekend for Alabama's homecoming. My brother-in-law works for the athletic department out there.
No way.
Yeah, so I got to see the whole shebang-a-bang out there, and it is impressive from beginning to end, the way they tailgate to the way they party afterwards. It is something else. It blows the socks off of anything I've ever seen on this side of the country. We'll just put it that way. But they have the $1 Million Band.
Yes. Yes.
And they can rock it a little bit. I am one of those people that is on bands, but if you have a big kind of well-known in Ohio State, a USC, and Alabama, one of those bands that really brings it, I think you got to give it to them. You got to give them some space.
Yeah.
Remember Grambling came here?
Oh my goodness!
For kind of the express purpose. Of showcasing their band.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the draw. I was talking to Mike Parrish, who used to do scheduling here for the football program, and he now works for Western Michigan. And he was saying when you're bringing in an FCS opponent, you look for like some X factor that will draw people to the stadium, and the Grambling Band happened to be what that was.
That was super
case.
cool. That was super cool. Well, we know we're going to hear lots of music on Saturday afternoon. We'll probably see lots of points being scored. Again, Michael, I don't know what counts as a victory here if you're Arizona. Is it to stay close?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say a close competitive game would people would probably feel pretty good about it. I'd say if USC scoring at will again, people are not going to be happy with Johnny Nansen or the defense. That's been kind of the prevailing theme in a lot of these recent games. So that's something to watch. One very last thing I want to say.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to set the bar really low for the Arizona defense in this game. If they can hold USC under 40 points and under 500 yards, I would consider that to be a step in a positive direction.
Okay.
Those are not great stats if you end up with 39 points and 499 yards, but it's all relative. That would be under their average for points, and it would be a lot less than what Arizona's been giving up lately. So those are a couple of benchmarks to just keep in mind.
Fantastic. 4 p.m., Arizona Stadium. It is homecoming Arizona versus USC. That ought to do it for this episode of the Wildcast podcast. A reminder, you can download the Wildcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, pretty much anywhere else. For Michael Lev, for Pinship producer Eddie.
Yep, that's right.
Say hello. Eddie, plug your podcast.
Don't forget to listen to Here We'd Go, especially if you're playing football and need to relax or de-stress. It's cannabis-based, and we like to have a good time over there.
I don't know how you talked them into giving you a podcast about weed, Eddie.
Oh, and I just talked to Ric Flair the other week, so we've got that episode live, too.
Woo. Can you woo for me? Woo! Oh, that's fantastic. On that note, we'll see you next week.